Hi, guys. Welcome to our daily encounter. Psalm 141 is a psalm that is really a prayer, and a prayer that I think that each of us could pray each and every day as we come before the Lord. I think that Psalm 141 would make a good morning prayer, a good prayer to begin our day. And yes, there are some specific things that are mentioned here, and some things that the psalmist was dealing with in regards to his enemies and things like that. The principles that this psalm is built upon are things that we can pray every day. And I believe we should pray every day. And so it gives us, if nothing else, a good outline for how we could begin our day in prayer to the Lord. And it starts off with a desire for David's prayer to be like a priestly offering. He says, after he says, "O Lord, I call upon you, hasten to me, give ear to my voice when I call to you," he has a very priestly language here. It says in verse 2, "May my prayer be counted as incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as the evening offering." And so when he came to him, he wanted to be accepted as a priest who was coming to the Lord to offer up incense, that smoke, that incense that would burn and smoke up towards heaven, but then also as one who was lifting up his hands would be like one who is giving the evening offering. He wanted his prayer to be like an offering to God. And there's several things that he desires in this prayer. One is holiness. The second one is correction. And the third one is protection. So holiness, correction, and protection. And it's interesting how he starts off the section about holiness. He starts with his mouth. His mouth. That's interesting. In verse 3, he says, "Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips." So before he talks about anything else, he talks about his mouth. And I think we can all kind of see how dangerous our mouths can be and how much trouble our mouths can get us into. And as we read through the book of James, we saw this as well, how dangerous the tongue can be. That was the first thing he brought out, but his desire here is to live a holy life and to do things that would be appropriate. But he continues on in verse 4, he says, "Do not incline my heart to do any evil thing, to practice deeds of wickedness with men who do iniquity, and do not let me eat of their delicacies." And so that was his desire, was a desire for holiness, for righteousness, to live in the right way, to speak properly, to act properly, to not allow himself to be influenced by others and in their desires and in their corruption, a desire for holiness. And of course, each and every day we should wake up with that desire to say, "Lord, help me to speak properly and help me to act properly this day." That's a good thing for us to pray each and every day. But then he even desires correction from the righteous. In verse 5, he says, "Let the righteous smite me in kindness and reprove me. It is oil upon the head. Do not let my head refuse it." So here he's saying, you know what? Let the righteous be stern with me. Let them correct me. And that's something else we could pray for. Say, "Lord, use other people to point me in the right direction. Use other people to correct me, to guide me, and to let me know when I'm getting off the right path. Help me to have those people in my life who will give me tough love, that will correct me when I need to be corrected." David desired that, and I think that could be a desire that each of us desire each and every day, because sometimes we're oblivious to the consequences that we're causing, uh, what our actions are doing. But when we have someone else, an objective uh, third person, coming to us and telling us, "Hey, when you said this, it hurt this person's feelings," or whatever the case may be, that's very helpful. And it helps us to fine tune our spiritual life and fine tune our relationships with others. So he doesn't mind being smitten by the righteous, but he does want protection from the wicked. As he continues on in the latter part of verse 5, he says, "For still my prayer is against their wicked deeds." Now he's referring to the evil people. In verse 6, "Their judges are thrown down by the sides of the rock, and they hear my words, for they are pleasant. Probably referring back to what he talked about in verse 3 with the desire to have words that are pleasant. But here he's wanting this protection against these evil people that he was trying to avoid. In verse 7, as one plows and breaks open the earth, our bones have been scattered at the mouth of Sheol. In verse 8, for my eyes are toward you, O God, the Lord. In you I take refuge. Do not leave me defenseless. So again, he has this desire for protection. He wants the Lord to protect him. And it's interesting how he acquires this protection. And it shows us that the greatest protection we receive is when our eyes are fixed on the Lord. And here we could expand this to not just be talking about physical adversaries that we might encounter, like people who come up against us and slander us and speak evil against us, but even against our spiritual enemies, even against Satan and the spiritual forces, the dark forces in the spiritual realm that are working against us in a very adversarial way. The way that we overcome our enemies, whether they be physically before us, or their spiritual forces behind those physical people, whatever it might be, the way that we find the greatest protection is by seeking the Lord. My eyes are toward you, O God, the Lord. And that's what we should pray each and every day. Every morning we get up and say, Lord, my eyes are on you. I'm seeking your protection, and I know that I will be able to be in a position of being protected more so when I have my eyes fixed on you. He says in verse 9, keep me from the jaws of the trap which they have set for me, and from the snares of those who do iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets while I pass by safely. So just kind of concluding this section where he's seeking protection from his enemies. And so these are things that we can pray each and every day. Lord, for one, let my prayer be accepted to you. Let my prayer be accepted to you just as you would accept the incense from the priest, just as you would accept the evening offering from the priest. Let my prayer be acceptable to you, and listen to my prayer. And then we get into the prayer where you say, Lord, help me, set a guard over my mouth. Help me to speak proper words. Don't let me speak out of turn. Don't let me stick my foot in my mouth. Help me to speak properly this day. And Lord, help me to avoid wicked deeds, and help me not to be influenced by other people and the things that they might try to offer me. And Lord, also help me to be protected from the enemy, whether it's an enemy in physical form or in spiritual form. Lord, protect me as I fix my eyes on you, as I seek you as my refuge. These are things that we could pray almost immediately getting out of bed every day, that would help us to start off on the right foot, to get our priorities in line, but also to submit our day and to recognize that our day really is under the leadership, the guidance and the eyesight of God, and He's looking over our lives. This would be a great thing for us to pray each and every day. So hopefully we can use this psalm, if not every day, at least occasionally go back to this psalm and use it as a model, as an outline for our daily prayers, and get our minds in the right place. So these are some things we can think about and reflect on as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.